We are live. Okay, it's been a while since I've done a live stream on the channel, so let's make sure YouTube hasn't broken anything terribly. And it looks like we are actually live. Let me quickly get everything all set. Move my mug so that I can see your comments. Okay, juicy. Is that a weird term for when the stream's working? Very juicy stream. What a juicy stream. Okay. Let's get started. So I'm taking suggestions. We're gonna be programming Vooperia, Vooper.io, whatever you want to call it. The website hasn't been updated in a while, so don't freak out. It's not just you. It's just not going to be there, any of the new stuff. But today we're gonna kind of just take a chill look at improving the game, doing a bit of work. As always, let me know if my audio is completely broken. I think that my music is a little bit too loud. I'm gonna turn it down a bit. There we go. As always, let me know if something's wrong with the stream. The music is louder than you. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't want to kill that. I'll kill it on the, 1 second. Apologies once again. It's all about balancing. We're trying to have kind of a calm, beautiful stream here. Let's do that, and let's turn up my personal volume. Can I not? Oh, it's beeping at me. Okay, never mind. How's that? Let me know how that is. Can you hear me better now? I can't hear you that well. How's that? I'll take as much time as we need to get it set up. That's the important thing. What song is this in the background? This is non-copyrighted music to Feroz Dawn. Good. Okay, let's get started. Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Vooperia development. As you probably know if you've been here before, we're doing this in Unity. So here is our development environment once it loads up. And here's the game. So while you guys were gone, I programmed in a system for the inventory, and look at that, you can open and close the extra inventory, and there's crafting recipes over here, and I will show you that they do in fact work. So if we go over and punch this tree a bit, look at those beautiful particle effects. Let's go ahead and punch it a little bit more. Punch it a little bit more. Punch it a little bit more. And here we have the logs. If they're in our inventory, we can hit craft. It'll use 1 log and create 10 sticks. So we can turn logs into lots of sticks. And now that we have sticks, we're ready to take on the world. Oh, that's interesting. When we hold the sticks, it comes up with logs. Uh-oh. Okay, let's figure out why that is. Let's go into our code and figure out why we have an issue. Here's our first bug of the day. I probably just haven't programmed this yet. Out of all the things I have done, this is probably just one of the things I haven't. Probably going to be under player. Let's just check out the player code. It's got to be in here somehow. And come on. Inside of here, fantastic. If currently held object, object held object equals stack.getItem.get held object. This get held object. This should return from item get held object return entity.chunk.world.spawn game object. That's the issue, but it's certainly the issue. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that's going to return the game object, but we have to do a little bit more. So we're just gonna do game object, game object, and object equals that. And then what we have to do is we actually have to refresh it, because what it's doing is it's pooling it. So basically every object we make, we want to put into a container when we're not using it, because deleting and recreating it is just a waste of performance. But when we take it back out of the box, we have to make sure that it's correct. We can't put logs in the box and take logs out when we're trying to show a stick. We have to let it know that it's a stick now and not logs. So let's go ahead and do object return. Actually, that's correct. Actually, it should return object, but we need to do. Actually, that's. Yeah. I'm being smart. An object.get component. I don't know what the component is called. Held. What code was I working on recently? Because it'll be on the held object prefab. Yeah, I haven't been doing this in a while, so let's just make sure default held. And there isn't. Okay, so we'll do object.get component sprite. This is interesting. I made it very lightweight, which is good. It'll be less laggy. Unity engine .ui. So basically, I didn't put any special script onto it, so I just have to change the picture on it. Get component sprite. I believe that's a sprite. Sprite renderer .sprite equals, and then I should be able to actually get the sprite right here. Get sprite. Oh shoot. That's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, I can see why that's an issue. So we'll just do item stack. That's slightly inconvenient, but there's a reason we have to do that. I'm trying to think ahead. Okay. Great, now we're gonna have an error in player because it's gonna say, what the heck is going on here? We're just gonna stick the stack in. That's gonna work now. Ready? It's actually gonna work, I can promise you. Bam, let's punch these trees. But and I are looking for someone who knows their way about Hearts of Iron 4 code better. In the meantime, it's slower work mainly. I need my Hearts of Iron 4. I need it. I need it now. Okay, so watch this. Now when we craft it, if we pick up logs, great, we're holding logs. And now if we pick up sticks, we're holding oh, look at that! Look at that! That's wow, we're like a caveman. We've got a stick when we're not afraid to use it. Shut up, okay? I didn't mean it in that way, okay? Shush. You're all a bunch of creeps, that's what you are. I should make it so that this gives you a little bit of extra reach if you're holding an item now. And actually, let's check that out. It should... We should use... Oh, that would be really smart. Okay. So we're gonna make... Okay. We're gonna make some item. I know exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna plug it right into the item code. Okay, so this is gonna be interesting. Public virtual. This should not be here. Okay, this should not be here. I've got an idea. What we're gonna do is we're gonna give every item its own code for this. Public virtual on object hit, and then it's gonna be collider C called when the item is used by the player and hits something. We need to move this into the item code anyways. This is all... Wait, public virtual void object. There we go, now it's not complaining. So here's the plan. When we go into the player, instead of doing this in the player, because right now, when you're doing code, you have to think about what has ownership over it. Right now, the player has ownership over what happens when they hit something. But that's stupid because each item does something different when you hit something. So the item should actually own that. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to... This unsuccessful use, we're still going to do this. Unsuccessful use, colliding, continue. So now instead of having this do it, we're gonna send it directly to this item that's responsible. So watch this. So it's actually collider 2D as well. I'm actually incorrect. We're gonna have to do currently held object dot get item. Nope, it is not going to be currently held object. It's going to be selected stack. What did I call it? Okay, let's figure out what I call things. Use timeout. Currently held object, hand collider, handle, hand animator, canvas, world, all of this junk. Okay, we don't actually have anything for what is currently selected. Well, that's dumb. Public, what's it called? Item, public item stack, currently held stack. And then we're gonna do the item stack currently held. Excuse me, my channel isn't dead. We're going green this month. So boo-hoo to you, you haters. I'm veering around a cliff. I did start falling down the cliff a little bit, but I'm back. There is no total failure in my book. So what we're gonna do is, if currently held stack is not equal to null, else we do the normal stuff. Currently held stack, if currently held stack dot empty or dot is empty. If the currently held stack isn't empty, then we're gonna do currently held stack dot on dot get item dot on object hit, and then we send in a collider. Wow, very beautiful, very nice. Make a part of the game where you can find books that tell the story of how Vooperia... Actually, I already have an idea for secret lore like that. I want to sprinkle things into the game that have a very rare chance of being found, and I want the community to have to piece it together. Will it be about Vooperia? I'm not sure, but it'll be about something. Is soft trying canceled again? No, I'm just busy. Honestly, today was my first day of my new job. Very exciting stuff. And it was just programming, so more practice for my game. Okay, so 1 second. On stack selected, we have to do currently held stack equals stack. Great. Great. So that's the most important thing. Now back in item, we get to do on object hit, collider C, da. Shoot. I am big dumb. Okay, one sec. I am big dumb, but it's not the end of the world. If entity is not equal to null and entity is not equal to the... Honestly, we're going to actually change this. Unsuccessful. We're just gonna call it unused actually, and called when the item is used by the player. Nice. Oh, we already have on player use. I just never did anything with it. Okay, we're gonna scroll back up on player use. We're gonna drag this over here and we're gonna dual screen. You know things are getting serious when I start dual screening. So on successful use. So what we're gonna do is we're going to, if currently held stack dot is empty, then we do the default behavior, right? Then we do this new collider 2D and we do a contact filter and we do a hand collider thing and all of this junk. Right? Great. Good thing we all agree. Okay. Fantastic. Kill this, Control K, Control D. Great. Looking good. Otherwise, if it's not empty, that's just what the hand does. If it's not empty, we're going to do currently held stack dot get item dot on player use. Yes. So now, okay, so what this does is it makes it so that when you punch, instead of the hand detecting what's around it, it sends, if you're holding an item, it tells the item to handle it. So if it's a flamethrower, maybe it'll shoot out fire. If it's an axe, maybe it'll search for trees. It's now in the item's hand. And now in this on player use, which can be overwritten, we need to make the default behavior of the item. And so the default behavior, oh, that's not what we want. What's going on? Where am I checking equality between those two? Probably because, what? What is going on in here? What is going on? What are you? Did I freak something out? Did I delete a bracket? I have no clue what's going on. Okay, more details, please. Oh, nope, it's not complaining anymore. Okay. Let's jump back to the code. And on player use, what do we want it to do by default? So it's actually going to be really similar to this code over here. So if it's held, then there should be a currently held object, which we're gonna send in game object held object. So we're gonna let the item have access to its game object, which is going to be very helpful. Currently held object. For whatever reason, if held object equals null, then we're really screwed, because that should never happen. If held object equals null, we're just going to debug.log. Something has seriously screwed up. Great. And we'll return early before it does any damage. Okay, so now assuming that it doesn't seriously screw up, let's go ahead and make sure that these bad boys have colliders, like they should. Prefabs, items, default held item, and it does not have a collider. That's not too hard to do though. We'll just do a circle collider. Great, so now this is its collision bounds. That seems pretty fair. Bam, now that we've added that collider, now what we can do is we can go and copy this. So here's the fun part. We grab all of this and we can really just copy it. So we can do a lot of this the same actually. So what we can do is collider 2D item collider equals held object dot get component collider 2D, and that's going to be pretty. And then we can do item collider dot overlap collider. Great. And that's the contact filter. If entity is not equal to null and entity is not equal to, we should probably send in the player that's using it. That's a good idea, because otherwise we have no way to know what player just did that. So the player will send it in, and this is why we do the fancy dual screen coding. And player entity is not equal to player. Great, entity dot on hit. And why do I send in that? I'm not sure, but we will just do this dot, no, not this, it has to be the object itself. Held object dot transform dot position. Great. I think that's actually gonna work. Etho, if you send me your music, I'd be glad to throw it in the mix, as long as it's chill enough. Okay. Here we go. This is gonna be another test run. The question is, will this increase our range now? I'm really hopeful that it will increase our range. Oh, the position is so that I can do the particle effect. I forgot about that. So now if we're using the logs, we should be able to... Oh, the problem is that it kind of freaks out there because it's actually colliding. But we can turn it into a trigger, which should fix that. So let's turn that into a trigger and try again. And so now you actually get a, oh, we've got some rocks. Ooh, that's kind of rare. So you've got some like mountainy area over here. This will be really good for getting ore in the future. Let's go ahead and punch down a tree. So normally we can only reach out a little bit, but if we knock down this tree right here, now instead of using our fist, we can use this, and we can use this to knock. Oh, look at that. We can do a lot more damage. Well, honestly, it's kind of dumb to use that as the position of the attack, because instead we can actually use the collision itself. It's not really a collision, is it? How would we get the point? I wonder if we could do it. No, we need to check every second, so... Much like Minecraft, I don't want it to be... I could do that. I'm not sure. You know what? We'll do it on collision instead of doing an overlap collider. Let's do a quick search on Unity to make sure that we can actually make this work. Unity, trigger, enter. When the collider other enters the trigger. Okay, neat. So let's change this up a little bit. We'll call this public void on trigger enter. But that has to be on the hand. Okay, so a few things are gonna have to change here. And it's going to have to be on the item. Okay, I can figure that out. It's gonna look better and it's gonna be a bit more accurate. So what we're gonna do is we need to make a new script, unfortunately. What else are we gonna have to do? We're gonna have to rewrite a bit of how this works. That's what we're gonna have to do. Okay, so the hand code is just going to handle itself. So let's just make a new script. We're just gonna call it player hand, and literally all the player hand's gonna do is let things know when it collides with something. Ready? Where's player hand? It's hiding somewhere. Where are you? Where are you, Mr. Hand? There we go. Okay, here's player hand. So we don't need any of this. We're just going to do void on trigger enter 2D lighter 2D collision. Collision dot. I want to know if we can get the point outlet. Oh, get contacts. That's exactly. Wait a second. Collider 2D. Let's collider 2D. Wait a second. Why is this collision unable to give me the points? But this is able to give me the points. These must be different objects. Collider 2D collision. And this gives us a list of collider 2Ds. What? Call dot Oh shoot, maybe not. We can do get contacts. Oh damn. Okay. Maybe we don't have to do this. Okay, before I overcomplicate things, let's see if I'm actually incorrect. This is still the correct way to do it. This is still the correct way to do it. That's the way I should do it. You know what? No shortcuts. No shortcuts. We're doing it the correct way. Okay. So we should do it this way instead. What we'll do is we're going to tell the player. So we'll make sure that we have public player, and when the trigger enters, we're just gonna let it know. Public void on hand collide. On hand collide, and we will just call it I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. Okay, you know what? Let's just say on hand collide. Let's assume that this doesn't end horribly. On hand collide, collider 2D, collision, and this should still be happening. True, but we're actually going to move that on hand collide. We're going to do last time. Okay, one thing at a time. On hand collide is what I'm going to do this instead. And this is so gross. This is so gross. Okay. If time. Okay. Let's remove that and move it here. So when the hand collides, it begins the timeout. If time is greater than use timeout lasted, and then we allow it to happen. Time has passed, and we can process this collision. But we don't want to do this unless we know that it was a successful collision. So what we're gonna do is kind of mush this all up. We're gonna do for each blub blub blub, all the blub blub blubs. So hand collider to overlap is unnecessary now. Actually, it's just we only have one collision, so we'll do if collision dot okay, you know what, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna copy that entity equals collider or collision dot game object dot get component collision dot collide or collision dot no, you're complaining for no reason. That, and then if it's that, and if we successfully hit it, we reset the timer. Otherwise, since we didn't actually hit anything, we don't reset the timer. Great, got it, makes sense. I think it makes sense. Okay. That sounds good. Now on trigger enter, we're gonna do player dot on hand collide collision. Great. We're gonna put this onto the hand. This is becoming spaghetti code, but this is the correct way to do things. So we're gonna try to do things the correct way so that it doesn't get too bad. So the player's hand is going to have this new player hand code, and the player hand code needs to know who the player is. Bam, now it knows. And now the player hand will let the player know when it hits things. Now we have to actually make sure that works. So spaghetti code. Now the concern I have. Ah, yes. See that? That's an issue. Because I can literally just do this now. Now thankfully there's still the timer, so I can't do it too quickly. But this should not count as hitting something. That should not be a thing. So we have to make sure that we are actually holding down space. And all we have to do for that is pretty simple. On hand collide. If you're not holding down keycode.space, or if you're not input.get keycode.space. There we go, that's the correct way to do it. If you're not holding down space, we don't pay attention. If we aren't trying to hit anything, don't. Great. Fantastic. Isn't that nice? Okay. That's gonna fix that. Now another thing is we also have to do private void on trigger stay 2D. Same thing, just player dot on and collide collision, and that should work. Let's make sure that the hand is actually properly punching things. It is a little bit complex. It's all about working your best. So what you can see here is it just looks kind of like it did before, but behind the hood things have changed a lot, because now instead of looking around the hand, it's actually like doing it. It's acting special, okay? And now what we can do is, because we actually have a collision instead of just a bunch of guesstimations, we can go ahead and make this look really good. Instead of doing hand.position, we can do collision.points.closest point. Oh, nice. That's not what we want though. Collision dot, we don't want the friction of the collision, we just want where it was. So let's try to get the point at which it hit. Get contacts, here we go. Get contacts, and there must have been at least one, so we're just gonna use one of them. What? Get contacts. Oh, are you kidding me? Ugh. Contact point 2D. Contacts equals new contact point 2D. Ugh. And I'll make it one inside. That's disgusting. Why would you make me do that? Is that really what you want? You want a contact? What? What? Okay. Okay, let's strip this out. Nice. That works, I guess. equals new contact point D, and then we probably have to do collision dot con. How though? Okay, we're just gonna do. We'll just make an empty array then, if that's really what you want. Okay. And then contacts, there has to be at least one, so we'll use that one. Dot position, dot point, dot, or dot point. Okay, nice. Let's try that. It's probably going to complain about the array not being big enough, and then I'm going to smack my head into a wall. I know why that's complaint. Oh, shoot. I didn't have to undo it for that. Okay. I knew it. I knew it was going to complain about that. I did call it. I did call it. Okay, so we definitely have an issue. We have to be able to do collision dot. How do you get the amount of contacts before you've stored them? Dot count dot. I'm kind of confused here. Oh god. Okay. Unity get contact points. Collision dot contacts is what? Okay, we're gonna try collision get contacts because there's got to be a correct way to use this. Oh, it takes any collection. Okay, so we can do list contact point 2D contacts equals new list. This is super inefficient for the garbage collector though, so I'm gonna have to go back and fix that later. Okay, contacts, bam. Okay, it's gonna put them into there, and then we can do contact 0.point, and that's gonna work. Watch this. SpaghettiOs. This is true SpaghettiOs. That is the correct term. Nice. So it's actually going to put the particle effect where the hand hits it. Or it's going to throw a terrible error. All over the place. Errors all over the place. Must be non-negative and less than. So if what if there's no contact? So there's no contacts? What? If contacts is greater than 0. Oh, I guess if it stayed. I don't know. Contacts is greater than 0. Oh well. We'll just use that hand position. That's fine. Whatever. Hand dot position. Whatever, good enough. What's important though is now we can do item held code, which should clear up the rest of this. So now when we go to our items code, this entire thing is just to try to make punching work better. Like, because punching is pretty important. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a C# script. We're gonna call it held object. This is just going to be very, very basic code. Held object is going to have a few simple rules. You should try colony and survival. Spike, will you stream again? I'm not going to stream again. This is my stream. This is my stream of the day. I am going to repackage it as a shorter video though. Okay, so held object is going to be special. Once again, we're going to do public void on item, or no, we're gonna copy player hand here. So we're gonna have the on trigger enter and on trigger stay, and that's going to go into held object. But we cannot forget that we have to know what type of item we are. So we're actually going to make a public void initialize, and Unity wanted to make that something it already has. Public void initialize, and then we'll do item stack, and then we'll have public, or we'll do private item stack, and this dot stack equals stack, and we'll also do a few other things. This dot get component, we'll move some code. We'll move some code that we had in here before that this shouldn't be responsible for. So instead of doing this here, we're gonna do it in here. Like I said, it's all about knowing what has the responsibility. Stack dot get item dot get sprite stack. Really overboard. Okay, here we go. So let's go ahead and do a little bit more magic. What we actually have to do is, on this one, we have to do, instead of on player use, so player using is going to be kind of different, because a player using the item means that obviously space was hit. But there's going to be different code for collisions, because obviously collisions are a little bit more than the player just using. Calling virtual void on on item collide collider 2D collision ran when the item collides with another object. Great. And now all we have to do is, in our code here, well, first off, held object, this needs to be switched to stack dot get item on this is going to be renamed on item collide okay, nice. And in here on item collide, we're going to just kind of copy this. Oh shoot. Okay, we have to know. We're going to need to know the player for this. Player. Unfortunately, we have to know what player's holding it. Can we even do that? Held object. We're gonna have to let it know what player. Private player. Player. That's a little bit rough. I'm sure I can figure out a way to make it work though. Especially because back here, when it's created, get held object. That's rough. Held object equals object dot get component held object dot initialize, and then that's gonna be stack. Good. Get held object returns. Okay. Oh boy. Okay, so what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to make it. I know how. Oh, okay. Temporarily, we're gonna change this to player. No, because other entities are gonna be able to hold objects. It's gonna have to be able to do it with just the entity, which is unfortunate. So what we'll do is we will make cooldown an entity thing that the player doesn't only have itself cooldown. Okay, and that's going to move into entity, which player inherits from, so that's not really a massive issue. Although now trees will technically have a cooldown. I give you $2. I will never object to free money. Yes, now trees have a cooldown, although I don't think they'll ever make use of it. Who knows, maybe we'll have ents. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to redo the timeout again. Use timeout, no. Did it keep it? No, that can't be right. Did I forget to save? Because this should be called cooldown now. Oh, it's because this hasn't compiled because there's an error. Okay. So it's gonna have to do held object.initialize entity stack. Held object is going to have to take in an entity and an item stack, which means that it's going to have to be actually entity, because a held object has to be held by something and it should know what's holding it. And then on item collide entity collision. Entity. Why am I doing entity and not just doing the simple route and doing a player? Well, because at some point we're going to have like monsters and stuff, and they're going to be able to use items, so might as well make this as usable as possible. And here's our issue. Neat. Okay. So that should clear all of the errors. Now the player character has cooldown somewhere, which is up here now. That's gonna be 1. 1 second. Okay. So, on item collide, I am pretty hopeful. Make sure we're still in no copyright. We are still in no copyright. Okay. Nice. I don't want to get striked. Okay. Here we go. Now when we jump into on item collide, now we get an entity and the collider 2D collision. So all we have to do is we have to make sure that the cooldown and the, where is the last use? We've got cooldown here. How does, wait a second. Wait a darn second. Oh, that's under, okay. So the player has last use, which also has to be moved over to entity, unfortunately. Not really unfortunately, it's just making it more useful actually. So how this works is we do have time.time minus last use is greater than cooldown. We can actually use this exact same code here and here. Make sure that we're actually holding down the space button. Well, for some items, maybe that won't want to be true. But for this case, we do. And then we do have time.time minus entity dot last use, because now we're sending the entity through. We can use its values. And all we have to do is obviously this will be a little bit different if the entity is using it, but this is just a temporary fix anyways. And then we can do this goodness. Entity equals, we should probably call, or on item collide, oh shoot, it should be hit entity, hit entity on hit. And then it would be collision dot closest point, I guess. I mean, we could do that, and then we could feed in the position of the entity. I wonder how that would work. Let's try that. That may actually work well. And then it's obviously going to be, or if that's not equal to the entity that we are, we're going to rename this to holding entity so that we know that it's the entity that's holding it. And then we just have to do holding entity dot last use equals time.time. Okay, that should work now. Great, fantastic. So there's a 2% chance this will actually work as planned. Let's just ensure that we've put everything on where it should be, which we haven't. This needs the held object script. Okay, let's try this. If we hit play and we punch this tree, it's not doing anything now, but if we do this, we get an error. Good. Fantastic. Where do we get an error? Time.time minus holding entity. Holding entity. Is it a null reference exception? It is a null reference exception. Okay. Why do we have a null reference exception? So the holding entity seems to be null. Which means that the held up. Oh, yes, because we never actually did this entity equals entity. Great. Okay, that's gonna be better, I promise. Okay. Okay. That's gonna be better. Let's go ahead and punch down a tree or two. I guess this tests if we can do multiple at the same time. Which I don't think we want, but that would be kind of funny if we could. That would bring some strategy into it, I guess. Nope, one at a time. Great. Okay, let's grab these logs and see if we can punch something with the logs. Oh, look at that. That's kind of neat. For some reason, it's like, oh, it's doing its collider at the closest point. Okay, I see. How do we get our collider the closest point to? Actually, that's really neat because it's actually working just the opposite of how I wanted it to. One moment. Closest point. So we should actually do our collider. Collision. And then we'll do collider 2D this collider. Should probably have that. Held object, we'll do public collider 2D this collider, or we'll just call it collider. Okay, we'll call it this collider if that makes it happy. Let's pass that in. When we do this, trust me, it's going to make it happier. Fantastic. Fantastic. Why would I add Logan Paul? I want to keep cancer out of the game. Okay, now we appear to be in a situation where I can just easily go back, clear this out, go over here, open the default item, drag the collider into the collider slot, save, go back, go to the code, and now in held object, when we do this fanciness, actually it's item, when we do this, we can do this collider. And now the particle effect should be in the correct spot. So let's do some punching because the hand cheats and doesn't actually use this code. But the hand is where the hand is, always where the hand is. But a sword may only hit the tip of your body, and we want the bullet effect to be where it hit, so gotta be careful of that. Oh, I accidentally picked it up. Oh, what the heck? What the actual heck is going on there? Okay, that's a new one. That's certainly a new one. That's like the furthest point. How is that the closest point? What? The closest point to what? Holding entity dot position. Oh, that's not what we want at all. We want collision dot position. Collision dot game object dot transform dot position. Okay, let's see if this works. you should make outlines between different kinds of blocks. Actually, I was thinking the same thing at one point, and I actually did program that. What's that? Let me see if I still have it set up. Yeah, that was a thing, and then I disabled it because I didn't like it. So look at this. I think I actually can turn it back on again. Oh, I may have completely gotten rid of it. I think it was called like edge detection after stack. Is that it? Let's see if that actually works. Mode. And it had to be the triangle luminance, color, black, and sample distance. Edges only. Is that not it? I'd like to show you because I actually had that working. 1 second. Add effect. Legacy. Edge detection after stack. Mode. Triangle luminance. Oh, there we go. Okay, I can see it. Color. Black. And edges only. Oh, whoops. That's not the one. Sample distance has to be it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so there's your option for having a little thin outline around everything. I didn't think it looked good, honestly. If you guys think it looks good though, I think it looks a little bit tacky, honestly. I don't know. Does that look good? Obviously, it's applying itself to a lot of things it shouldn't be. Well, yes, it's not supposed to be outlining those things, and I can fix that. I don't know. I'm not going to focus on graphical things like that until later. Let's make sure that this is actually working properly. Oh, shoot, it kept it. Okay, so if it's going to keep that, let's quickly fix that because that's a mess. Player camera, this should be set to ignore everything. Layer should do everything except for... Honestly, it should do nothing except for terrain. But I don't even think the chunks are on the right thing. What's that? Prefabs, chunk, layer terrain, tag terrain. Oh. Huh. Yeah, I don't know why it's not doing it on the chunks now. Terrain. Hello? Everything. Turn off UI. Turn off entity. Yeah, it's strange. I don't know why that's considered to be in a different layer. Let's try one more thing. The mesh renderer. Oh, here we are. Which layer is 8? I wonder if that's it. We said it's at 8. And then we go back to our player camera and murder everything. No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that's not working. A little bit confusing. TBH, TBH. Because it is set as layer terrain, it's set as tag terrain. Maybe it's layer 9? Layer 7? Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's just quickly look at preferences. That's not it. That's not it. It would be in edit project settings. Layers, physics, rain. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't really know. Maybe the graphics layers? I don't think so. I think that's the only layers we've got in here. It's just odd. Player. I completely forget where. Where is my. Oh, tags and layers. Here we go. User layer 8. Sorting layers. Oh. Wonder if that's it. I'll try putting terrain in there, but it would be user layer 8 there. Layer 2. Yeah, some odd stuff happens. I mean, what can you do? Let's see. Where's our thing from last time? Wait, where'd it go? Where'd my... Oh, here it is. Yeah, for some reason, it just... I don't know what it is, but you can't set it to just terrain. And I'd like to. I'd like that. Yeah, we're just gonna give up on it for now. This is not something that I should be focusing on. It's such a tiny issue compared to everything else in this game. Just quickly remove it and ignore it. Okay, well, this is it, I guess. Will it work? Our punching code, which has been revamped once again, so now it doesn't happen until the exact moment. That looks nice, though, the exact moment you touch it. And there's still a delay to make sure you don't spam. And if you click really fast, it doesn't change anything. Add mountains. There are. It's just on a top-down game. They don't look very mountainy. It's top-down. How are you supposed to climb? That would be pretty challenging. Okay, ready? There we go. That's it. It actually looks like it's hitting at the correct point now. The effects come out at the right spot. Now we can use trees to kill trees. Even better, we can create sticks to help us destroy trees. Ooh, something went wrong there. Okay, we've got a stick and logs. What happened? I'm curious. Is he holding two things? Oh, he is. Oh well, that's enough of that for today. Thank you all for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll cut this down into a better video. And I will see you all next time. We made it so that the hitting system's better. Dab. This really changed the world because now you can change the world. Get it? Good one.